Hi, this is Lakshmi Chaudhry, founder and editor of Splainer.in and the host of What the Happened Here, a news magazine show like no other. Get ready for some serious news analysis but served with many dollops of fun. Today we look at election maths. The BJP says it'll get 370, Congress says not even 200. How do the numbers add up? Also, Olympic medals for art, a bit of your brain, and the war in Ukraine. We start with our big story and the big question. How many seats can the BJP possibly get? Will it be 370 as Modi ji promises or 200 as Congress Pres Mallikarjun Kharge predicts? Earlier in the month, opinion polls uniformly predicted a blockbuster performance for the BJP. The NDTV poll of polls, which looked at results of 9 surveys, puts the number of seats at 365. That's a staggering 2/3 majority. How's that going to happen? If you remember, the 2019 results look like this. Big wins in the Hindi heartland and modest performances elsewhere, with one exception, Karnataka. The BJP scored a staggering 25 out of 29 seats there, all of which gave it a total of 303 and NDA a total of 353. To push past that tally, the BJP will have to keep everything it has already won, like the Hindi heartland, and make big gains in new territories. Most psephologists divide the map into 3 zones. Zone 1, the BJP bastion, where it won more than 90% of the seats. Zone 2, where the outcomes were close. And Zone 3 is the most hostile territory, where the BJP has struggled to make its mark. That map looks something like this. In this map, according to Yogendra Yadav's analysis, the easy zone has 223 seats. The closely contested have 200 and the hard-to-win zone has 120. Other pundits split it slightly differently. For example, for Amitabh Tiwari, that breakup is 262, 82 and 98 respectively. Political bias shifts the numbers one way or the other, but mota, they all add up to the same thing. So why is the BJP so confident about landing a big total? Let's look at 3 zones. In Zone 1, it may not be able to repeat a near sweep in Rajasthan or Madhya Pradesh, but it will make up the difference in Uttar Pradesh. Remember, the BJP actually lost ground in 2019, dropping from 71 to 62 seats in UP. This time, the BJP is expecting a near sweep of 80 seats thanks to Ram Mandir and Modi magic. In Zone 2, the competitive states, they plan to win big this time around. For example, Maharashtra, where they only won 23 seats in 2019. This time, they expect to wipe out Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena. So they will get most of 48 seats, while Eknath Shinde and Ajit Pawar mop up the rest. Similarly, the Saffron Party expects to do way better in Bengal and Odisha. Party insiders predict it will win half of the 42 seats in Bengal and its Odisha total will go from 8 to 14. Last not least, we have Zone 3. In the hostile zone, the prize is South India. The party expects to retain its big total in Karnataka, increase its 4-seat total in Telangana, and win at least 2 to 7 seats in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, where it is currently at 0. Add all of that up and you get pretty close to 370. That's what the BJP says. So do the opinion polls, which award roughly similar numbers in these states. But, people who have money riding on the outcome don't quite agree. For example, bettors in the Satta Mandi in Rajasthan. The odds in these markets favor BJP just about holding on to its 303 seats, while NDA lands 340 to 350 seats. That's a nice total, but nowhere close to 400. Then we have Bernstein, a global research and brokerage firm. The company recently put out a report warning against sky-high expectations of a big BJP win in the stock market. It said, somewhere in this noise of news studio debates, we seem to be losing track of ground realities in many of these states. Bernstein points out that in 2019, BJP scored almost 99% of seats in 8 crucial states: Gujarat, Rajasthan, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, and Haryana. The chances of replicating that performance are next to nil. Even if it wins big, incumbency dictates it will lose some ground. Bernstein is also a lot less optimistic about Zone 2, states like West Bengal and Odisha. It claims those are still way too close to call, and it doesn't think the BJP has made much headway in the south. A stray seat here or there is not going to help its cause. In Indian politics, everyone talks about Hawa, whether it's blowing towards one side or the other. Before the elections, everyone saw a BJP whirlwind heading our way. But voter turnouts have been low in the north, reflecting a lack of enthusiasm, and there's no indication of a big BJP wave in the south. And then there are total wildcards like Maharashtra. So yes, aayega to Modi hi, but maybe not with a bang. The tide is turning, perhaps decisively, in Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Over the weekend, Moscow grabbed more land in a single day except for the very beginning of the war. The Ukrainian military is in disarray, the troops are retreating, and its commanders are fighting each other rather than their enemy. Civilians are flooding the city of Kharkiv, which may fall very soon. So, let's review where the Russians are on the map. This is what the Great Russian Offensive looked like in the early months of the invasion. Moscow surged in from almost every direction, north, south, and east. You can see Kharkiv in the northeast. But the Ukrainians dug in and attacked Russian supply lines, which were stretched thin. Soon, Moscow gave up its dreams of an easy win and retreated entirely from the north. Then things started to go wrong for Kiev. Its counteroffensive in the summer of 2023 failed spectacularly. Russians started to gain territory, one town at a time, grinding the Ukrainians down from the south and southeast. And now they're moving forward in the north, around Kharkiv. There are ups and downs in any war, but this Russian advance may prove to be a tipping point. It comes at a time when Ukraine troops are exhausted and stretched dangerously thin. Don't forget, Russia has 3x the population of Ukraine. More worryingly, here's what one commander told BBC News. There was no first line of defense. We saw it. The Russians just walked in. They just walked in without any minefields. Either it was an act of negligence or corruption. It wasn't a failure, it was a betrayal. Researchers at Harvard University teamed up with Google to map a cubic millimeter of brain tissue. That's as tiny as half a grain of rice. Imagine that. The tissue was taken from the cortex of a 45-year-old epilepsy patient. The result? An image that shows the human brain in unprecedented detail, overflowing with 1.4 million gigabytes of information. That single pic contains 57,000 individual cells, 150 meters of neural connections, and 23 centimeters of blood vessels. Basically, the image shows you the circuitry of the brain, the connections between the neurons and other kinds of cells. Scientists also built a 3D image where the blue layers at the very top of the brain and the fuchsia bits are at the innermost. Yup. Science is marvelous, and so is the human brain. In our daily edition, we often include intriguing or curious facts for our readers. Cool, weird, interesting things to remind you that we live in a cool, weird, interesting world. We plan to do the same with all of you. This one is more of a mind-blowing fact. Did you know that art has competed for Olympic medals for the first 40 years of its history? Between 1912 and 1952, a total 151 medals were awarded. Artists submitted works in 5 categories: painting, sculpture, architecture, literature, and music. But there was one caveat. They all had to depict athletic themes. One of the best known medal winners is Dutch painter Isaac Israels, whose painting titled The Red Rider won a gold medal in 1928. As you can see, that's a very nice horsey indeed. Our other favorite is this gold medalist from the 1924 Paris Olympics called the discus thrower by Greek artist Kostas Dimitriadis. Then there is the Liffey swim by Jack B. Yates. Sadly, many of the winners were not preserved for posterity, but it's way cool to know that art was once considered an Olympic sport. That's it for today. Tune in on Friday to find out what the you missed this week, and if you miss us, grab a free 1-month subscription to Splainer. We will totally change the way you see news, we promise. The link is in the description. One more thing, we're still figuring out this format, so we totally need your feedback to get this right. See you in the comments and on Friday.